So we escaped the party and we're trying to get back to the hotel, but there's no way it's going to be that simple. I mean, we're trashed and our insides are a fucking hurricane due to all the preposterous food we just ate. So we're just wandering around in a haze. But luckily, my boy Gitan had the foresight to mark all of the buildings on the way back to our hotel with chalk because he figured we were going to be this trash. So we get back to the hotel. And I immediately start banging Gitan, because I'm full of, like, every part of a pig, and that makes me horny. So I'm having sex with him, and finally I run out of sex, and I fall asleep. At which point, fucking Ace, that slimy bastard, grabs Gitan, brings him into his bed, and fucks him for the rest of the night. And Gitan either doesn't notice or pretends not to notice, but I figure he just pretends not to notice, because he's just a fucking slut. Which is to be expected because everybody in Rome is a fucking slut. They're all drunk as shit and we're all fucking sluts. It's like a frat party crossed with an orgy. Just all the time. So in the morning I wake up and I see that Gitan is in Ace's bed and I'm like, Ace, you motherfucker, I am going to stab you in the balls. And Ace is like, not if I stab you in the balls first. And Gitan is like, guys, don't stab each other in the balls. That's like my favorite part of you. And so he's standing between us, and we don't want to stab through him because, like, he already has enough holes in his body for us to put our penises in. And we're like, okay, we need to find another way to fix this. And Ace, in his infinite wisdom, is like, how about we let Gitan decide which of us he wants to bone? And I'm like, that's a great idea, because I figure Gitan's going to pick me. But guess what? Gitan picks fucking Ace! So they head out together, and I am going ape shit. I grab my sword, I run out into the street, I'ma find Ace, I'ma fucking kill him. But this centurion finds me. Rome, other than drunken sluts, is full of centurions, who are also drunken sluts. But whatever, there's an important classification difference. And the centurion sees me and he's like, where are you going? And I'm like, I'm a centurion. I can run around with swords, that's fine. He's like, not in those shoes, you aren't a centurion. And I'm like, shit. Because centurions have this other kind of shoes. And I'm just like, my fashion is just balls. So Centurion takes away my sword, because that's another thing they can do. They just collect swords. And I go back, I go to the art museum now, because I'm sad, and art makes me less sad, or maybe it's just a good place to be when I'm sad. But anyway, I run into a poet there. And poets are the scum of the fucking earth. In a city full of sluts who hate thinking, poetry is like the worst fucking thing you could possibly encounter. So this poet who I meet is anytime he starts reciting poetry, people just start throwing rocks at him. So he's used to this. He's just getting rocks. Not getting his rocks off, but getting rocks on him. So I start talking to him about how sad I am about Gitan. And he's like, oh, dude, I know, right? Fucking little boys. It's just nothing but problems. One time, I was the tutor to this wealthy family, and they had this hot son, man. And I really wanted to get my rocks off with this son. So I preached about the evils of having sex with little boys so that the parents wouldn't let anybody else near their little boy. And then, every night when I was sleeping next to him, because they let me sleep next to him because they were extremely trusting, I would be like, I would pretend I was praying to the gods, and I'd be like, oh gods, if you would only allow me to molest this little boy without his knowledge, I would totally reward him with some birds. And the little boy would let me do it because he fucking loved birds. But finally I ran out of money. I stopped being able to buy him birds. I was promising birds that were too fancy for me to buy. And he, like, for a second he was mad at me. But then I was like, how about we just have sex? And it turns out that he actually just really liked sex. So we just started having sex. But then the other problem was that he wanted to have too much sex. See, that's the problem with having sex with little boys. It's not that it's, like, immoral or something. It's just they want to have too much sex, man. And I'm like, I know, right? But actually, I'd really like to have sex with some little boys right now. I really wish I could find Gitan. And the poet's like, well, you're not fucking gonna. You can stand here and listen to me recite poetry instead. And I'm like, no, you know what, dude? I'll hang out with you. Like, I can see you're lonely, but you can't recite any fucking poetry. Promise? And he's like, promise. And I'm like, alright, sweet. Let's go get naked in the bathhouse together. So we go to the bathhouse, and we're getting naked, and immediately that fucking poet guy starts reciting some fucking poetry. So everyone's throwing rocks at him. And meanwhile, I look over, and who do I fucking see? Motherfucking Gitan is over there in slay's clothes, handing out towels and weeping. So I'm like, Gitan, grab him, take him down a dark alleyway, start banging the hell out of him. And I run away with him. I run back to the hotel. So we get in the room, I'm making out with him, and then the poet finds us. He tracks us down, man. I'm telling you, poets are a disease. They will never make friends with a poet because they will never leave you alone. So this poet comes back to the house, and he's having dinner with us now, and all I want to do is bang Gitan, but he's having dinner with us, and he starts hitting on Gitan. And I'm like, no, I'm not having any of this. But then Gitan gets offended about how much I'm being a dick, I guess, and he leaves with the poet. They go out and they lock me in the room. I am locked in the room. And so I do the only sensible thing, which is I go to kill myself. But right before I kill myself, Gitan busts back into the room and he's like, nah, no way you're going to kill yourself before I get a chance to kill myself. So he grabs a razor out of the servant's hand, slices his throat. Now I'm really freaking out because... So I jump down and I look at it, but it turns out it was a fake knife. He slashed his throat with a fake knife that they happen to have there. So he's fine, and I'm just going nuts, but everything's okay, except now, all of a sudden, Ace is here. Because Ace got left behind at the bathhouse. He was at the bathhouse too. And I stole Gitan, and then he was just hanging out there butt naked with his huge dong. Because Ace has a huge, enormous dong. He's just a tiny person with an enormous wiener attached. And his dong is so huge that a knight kidnapped him and sexed him for a while, but then Ace managed to escape and is now at our hotel offering $1,000 to anybody who can bring him Gitan. So I'm like, I'm not losing this kid again. Gitan, hide under the bed. So Gitan hides under the bed. And the guards and everything search all of the rooms. They don't find him. And then, right as Ace is about to leave, the poet, this poet, I hate this guy, comes into the room and he's like, I'm gonna take the $1,000 because I know you've got Gitan. And I'm like, no man, Gitan escaped. He's gone. You're not gonna be able to find him. And that is exactly when Gitan decides to sneeze. So he sneezes. The poet is like, there he is. I'm like, you get out of here. And he's like, no. And I'm like, come on, have some pity for us. And he's like, okay, fine. And we go and we escape on a boat. And the rest is a story for another time.